Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our brand new AVST Live webinar session, Do You Need More UC Interoperability? I'm Ann Rude with AVST Marketing. Our presenter this morning is Tom Menifee, our CTO. And so without taking any more delay, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Tom.
Great. Thank you, Ann, and welcome, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. Normally, our sales engineering staff provides these presentations, and they're all out on the road meeting with our customers and prospective customers, so I get the opportunity to do this today, which is great. As Ann mentioned, we're going to talk about unified communications interoperability, one of the real challenges in meeting your UC deployment objectives. So with that, let's get started. Firstly, some market observations when it comes to unified communications. It's one of those terms that it's certainly been out there for a while, and you see different definitions for it, but just to level set this discussion, what is unified communications? In our eyes, it's really the bringing together of different communication methods. As the definition would imply, it's unifying those communications, and regardless of location or what device you're using or what method of communication, unifying those together so two people can communicate effectively, bring together information and business processes part of it, to just optimize that whole communication flow. It really, when you think about it, we don't all buy our communication technology or methods from the same place. So unified communication really requires the convergence of multiple vendors, multiple techniques together in a unified fashion, so that regardless if you have some old technology and some new technology, and regardless of how many vendors provide that to you, it's really bringing those together so they work as one and provide a consistent experience when you're trying to communicate both internal to your organization as well as external. It's also now one of the things that is very common is taking a look at different delivery models for communication. So once upon a time, a lot of people everything was premise-based, although you still had, say, voice services from what used to be the cloud before it was known as the cloud, a Centrex type offering. So you had premise, you had a cloud or a service provider offering, and now you have these hybrid situations where some of your communication technology is at the customer premise, some of it is in the cloud provided by a service provider, or maybe you're your own service provider where you have developed your own private cloud infrastructure and deploying all your applications that way, or some of your applications. So one of the things that we didn't have to deal with much in the past was really how do you bring all that together? How do you bring together a premise-based and a cloud-based solution set so that those are unified as well? Mobility is becoming a bigger and bigger issue as our employees, whether we are providing the mobile devices to the employee or they're bringing them and they're into the office space and their own private tools, mobility is becoming a big requirement within unified communications to make sure that the mobile devices that our employees are using are supporting the communication methods that are important to us as an organization. So in the end, the objective of unified communications is really to improve our employee and our business productivity through enhanced or unified communications. If you look at the evolution of unified communications, it's really made up of a lot of different application sets. So you look at all of these and evaluate your own situation and say, how many of these do I have already? Everyone's got some type of telephony or phone system, voice system, You probably have voicemail automated attendant. I bet you have email of some sort. You may have a contact center, you may not, depending on your size. On down the line, there's a lot of different applications. How many people can raise their hand and say, yep, I've got all these, I've got 10 of these, I've got 8 of these, I've got 12, whatever the number may be, and I bought them all from the same place at the same time. I can't see your hands raised, but I bet no one is raising their hand right now. It doesn't happen that way. Number one, these applications tend to be acquired and deployed independently. Some of them go together. Maybe when I deploy the contact center solution, I'm also deploying an IVR solution at the same time, or maybe when I deploy a new phone system, I'm going to get unified messaging at the same time. Whatever it may be, some of them may be combined, but many of these are separate transactions, if you will. So you deploy them independent of each other. And you tend to have different vendors that supply them to you. So the key when it comes to unified communications is really how do you get all these different communication tools to interoperate and work together and provide a consistent experience to my user community. And that, in our eyes, that is the key. Because it's multi-vendor, because they're acquired at different times, every time you introduce a new communication component, the key is in how to make sure that that communication component can be unified or interoperates with everything else that I have today and everything else that I'm going to add in the future. So here's, from a voice perspective, large customers, this is not uncommon. You know, a lot of times you look at this and go, wow, why didn't they standardize? Why didn't they buy all Avaya or all Cisco or all NEC? And some customers do that certainly for a single deployment, but as you get into multiple deployments and people grow through acquisition, you don't see a common technology deployment across the entire enterprise, and you get this real mixed vendor type approach. So again, you know, one of the keys is how do you bring all that together? So with that as a framework, let's take a look at what AVST solutions can bring to the table when it comes to unified communications, and specifically how to unify your communications and get everything to interoperate. If you look at our core platform, the CXE platform, one of the things that we did from the very beginning was took a very agnostic approach to phone system integration or interoperability. So over the years, we've really prided ourselves in being able to integrate with any voice system, phone system that's out there. So once upon a time, that was done with traditional PBX and key systems, and it tended to be, you know, analog integration and SMDI integration, and maybe you emulated a digital station and acted like or behaved just like one of the digital sets off of that PBX. And then came IP type opportunities. So instead of integrating via traditional method, it was over an IP connection, and you were using SIP or one of the proprietary protocols that are out there. So over the years, we've developed this extensive, very extensive and complete integration library, so we can integrate with over 400 different phone systems out there and via a number of different methods. So it can be SIP, it can be analog, it can be T1, E1 via one of those protocols like QSIG or CAS protocol. And further, you can integrate to more than one system off of, or more than one voice system off of a single CXE platform, so that we can integrate to up to 10 different phone systems different branded phone systems off of a single CXE deployment. Very quickly, one of the things that we're seeing in the market is people starting to look at Microsoft as a voice provider, and specifically with the Microsoft Lync, or what used to be known as Office Communications Server, or OCS. And we've got some interest in understanding within our customer base and prospects how many people are looking at using Microsoft Lync as their voice system or as their telephone system.
So we're curious, first of all, if you are using Lync, and then if you could also specify if you actually are. Many of you may just be using Lync and OCS for your IM and presence capabilities, maybe not for tying in with your PBX. So we're curious on that. Let's see here. Okay, looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the results here. What it looks like, interesting, actually the majority of you on this session are actually not using Lync. About a quarter of you, 24%, have Lync or OCS, but no plans to use it for voice communication. And just about almost 10% say yes, you are using it and you would like to learn about tying it to your existing PBX. So that's a good lead-in for Tom on our next topic that he's going to cover here.
So specific to Lync, one of the things that we're seeing in the market is people deploying Lync. Primarily, for now, Lync is used as an instant messaging system within an organization, or maybe you federate outside of your organization, but it's really primarily used for instant messaging. It's also providing presence associated with that. So we use it here internally, and I joke that it's become the new dial tone or ringtone, where the process is you look on your Lync client, you see if somebody's available, it shows that they're available, you send them a quick instant message saying, hey, do you have 5 minutes for a quick conversation? They say, yep. You place the call, and it's all part of the transaction. So rather than picking up the phone, dialing them, and reaching voicemail or whatever you may do, it's this pre-call transaction to negotiate that, yep, we can talk live right now. And that's kind of a common use right now, in addition to typical instant messaging type transactions. But as far as a voice call, it's that pre-call setup type mechanism. And then other people are using it for desktop sharing and the like. And some people are using it actually as a voice system, where from Lync user to Lync user, it's a voice call across your IP network, and there's no public network involved or no phone system involved. And the Lync client actually becomes a soft phone, if you will, all through Lync. And you can get all that just as a default characteristic of the Lync deployment. The thing that we've found our customers struggle with is, how do you combine Lync into our existing phone system? And although there are some direct integrations with the latest releases of the PBXs, a lot of people have older phone systems and would still like to do that. So what we did at AVST is we developed what we call an intelligent gateway that connects Microsoft Lync to your existing PBX. I just talked about the 400 integrations that we have, and this would apply to all of those. So it really does not matter what your PBX environment is. If you would like to use the Lync client as a soft phone off of your existing PBX, then AVST can deliver that functionality to you. It's really to deliver two specific applications. One of the things that the CXE product does is supports a personal assistant capability. It includes a find me, follow me application, such that as a user, I can define what device or what phone number I want to be reached on. And with this, you can add Lync as another endpoint or another destination. So say I'm working from home and I want to communicate via Lync, or I'm out of the country and I want to use Lync as a phone so that it's all via the internet and no roaming charges type of thing. I can set up Lync as one of my devices to be reached. So my find me, follow me rules can be sent to Lync. The flip side of that is you can initiate calls from the Lync client, so that Lync as a soft phone, I can decide to call somebody outside of my organization, and the CXE Intelligent Gateway will deliver that call through the PBX integration and out to the PSTN. So it's bidirectional, and in essence what it does is it converts your Microsoft Lync client into a soft phone client off of your PBX, regardless of what your PBX is. So that's available as part of our product. We're seeing more and more traction around the Lync product, and from an application standpoint, one of the things that we see is you've got UC interoperability at the bottom layer, and that's the foundation of everything that we deliver. And we have a number of different application sets. UC Voice, which is the traditional call processing, voicemail, network-based faxing, those applications are, many of our customers utilize those. Then UC Mobile is an additional set where that's where our unified messaging, personal assistant capability, the mobile applications, speech recognition, that technology and application set comes into play, and typically has a different interop requirement than what UC Voice would have. For example, unified messaging typically would tie into an email system, and mobile ties into your iPhone and your Android sets, and on down the line. And then the third application suite is really the UC Business Process, where we get into custom applications that can tie our voice capability, call processing capability, into back-end databases and applications that you have deployed in your organization. Maybe it's for notification capabilities. And those have other interop requirements. So how do I tie into my Salesforce.com or my Oracle database, those types of things. And we'll talk about that in a moment. If you go across these three application sets, voicemail tends to be one of our core deliverables, where most of our customers have our voicemail capability as part of their solution set. We've developed this over the years. It's extremely full-featured, scales really well, supports all the alternate TUIs, so that if you're coming off of a legacy system, we can actually emulate the user experience of that system, so that your users don't have to be retrained. We can network into other voicemail platforms using an AMOS or VPN protocol, or maybe the Avaya 3210 or message networking type functionality. And it's all provided with unlimited voicemail boxes. So you license the capacity of the simultaneous calls that you want to support, but you can have as many users on the system as you'd like. One thing that we've seen come into play with the platform when it comes to just UC Voice deployments, there's a lot of activity, especially with our larger customers, to consolidate what they have, where it used to be with every branch office, they'd have a phone system out there, they'd have our solution out there, they'd have maybe a call center solution out there, call accounting, they'd have one of everything. And there's really been a drive to consolidate that, centralize it, put it into a data center, virtualize the solutions, and then serve them up to the locations, the various locations. A key part of that is providing high availability, disaster recovery, remote survivability, so that if you're going to consolidate it all and all the locations are going to be dependent on that, make sure you have the disaster recovery high availability components in place to ensure you're going to have that high uptime of delivering the application. So this is a core element of the CXE platform as well. Moving on to some of the UC mobile applications, specifically unified messaging. Here's a big interop component where unified messaging, by its nature, is really bringing things together that were delivered by different vendors and at different times, if you will. So typically what we find is people are either going to have a customer premise-based email system like Exchange or Notes, Domino, GroupWise. Those types of products will be deployed at the customer premise. Or what we're seeing more and more of now is customers moving towards moving that environment out to the cloud. And that could be, I'm going to stick with Microsoft and use Office 365, which is really Exchange in the cloud being managed by Microsoft or a Microsoft provider. Or Gmail, so Google Mail in the cloud being managed by Google, where your IT resources aren't having to do that. When you think about unified messaging, regardless of whether it's at the customer prem or it's a service-oriented deployment, you still have interoperability needs. So being able to interoperate or integrate the voice solution into that email environment is a key. So what we've done, same approach that I described with the phone system, it's really an agnostic approach where we don't care what the email system is or where it's housed. We can still provide unified messaging. Okay, to that point, one more poll question. Looking for some indication as to whether you're already you've moved your email into the cloud or if you have plans to move it from the customer premise to the cloud. So I'll toss it back over to Ann.
Okay, so the question should be displayed there. So as Tom mentioned, whether you've already deployed your email to the cloud, Gmail, Office 365, or something similar, if you have plans to deploy in the time frame, or whether you maybe have no plans to move your email to the cloud. So again, it looks like we've got just over half, so we'll give it another second or two here. And let's see here. Okay, we'll go ahead and look at the results. It looks like actually over half have said that they do not have plans to move email to the cloud. So about 57%, Tom, no cloud email plans. About 16% have either already deployed it or plan to deploy it in the next 12 months, and just over 10% say they would deploy it in the next year or two.
Okay, great. So just as a follow-up to unified messaging, just to make sure we're all on the same page, unified messaging really is the unification of different message types, and typically that is voice, email, and fax. Someday maybe video mail will be there if people start leaving video messages or sending video messages. That could be a component, but today primarily what you find is email, voice, and fax, all consolidated together through the same interface. And that interface could be your email client, could be a web client, could be a over the telephone where you're listening to email in addition to your voice messages, and you're using speech commands, whatever it may be. Could be your mobile device, very common today to access all your messages. With our deployment, as mentioned, it's very agnostic, so it really doesn't matter what your back end is on the email side or where that is housed. As some of you are moving into the cloud, we can still provide unified messaging. We can support multiple email servers, so the larger organizations, many of our university customers have different and multiple email servers. Lots of flexibility on do you want to store everything in the email system? So voice, fax, everything goes into the email store. Do you want to keep them separate and integrate out at the client level? Lots of different options for that. Do you want to push this out to your mobile devices? Do you want to use voicemail to text capability, where the recorded voice message is transcribed into text and sent to the user so they can read it rather than listening to it if they aren't in a position to actually listen to the message? Text to speech to convert your email messages into audio so that someone can listen to them over the phone while they're driving down the road. All of those things are considerations when it comes to unified messaging, and everything supported by our platform. On the mobile client side, another key piece to UC Mobile, or our UC Mobile offering, more and more people are using smartphones, whether they're personal devices or they're company provided. What we've done is developed applications for both the iPhone and the Android devices, and we deliver a number of different applications. These are all delivered by the app stores and integrate into the phone natively. So they're native applications that behave and act just like any other application that they've downloaded from the various app stores. What we've done is said a lot of people are using a mobile phone for both business and personal communications, but they'd like to keep them separate. So what comes natively with the phone from your phone provider, I'm using that for personal business, no pun intended, and then our application is used for your true business or company communication so that you can separate them. You can have separate address books if you'd like, separate message logs, missed call logs. All of it is separate, so you know these are personal communications, these are business communications. One of the keys to this is we don't store any data on the device itself. So if the employee loses the data, if they leave the company, there's no company-owned asset that actually leaves with them or leaves with that phone. From an application standpoint, you've got managing of calls, you've got single number reach, mobile number protection, so people that want to use their mobile number but they don't want to hand it out to people, so that all calls route through the main business phone number, transferring of calls from one device to another, visual voicemail type capabilities, and then user preferences. All of that is supported through this mobile app that's available as part of our platform. Okay, moving on to the last applications segment. It's really the application database interoperability. This is the UC business process section. So we talked about interoperability to your voice deployment, your voice infrastructure. We talked about it to your email groupware type environment. This is the final piece, which is the integrating into your back-end databases. This could be your financial operations, accounting operations. It could be customer records, so CRM type solutions, whatever it may be. People build out applications that are voice enabled, call processing enabled, tied into those back-end databases. So what we do is we provide an open development framework so you can build custom applications or have us build them for you that integrate into your back-end data and provide access to that through a web service or through a voice type portal, so that people, your customers could call in or your vendors could call in and access information. They can receive notification automatically of events that have occurred within your operations. You can click to call, enable your application. So a lot of different possibilities here to tie our platform and what it does, which is voice, audio, notification, call processing, those types of functionalities, integrate those in, or communication enable your back-end business processes. So to give you One example of this, a lot of our customers use an outbound notification capabilities where you can tie our platform into a back-end process that says, I need to notify people and give them custom information or specific information for them. And I need it to be automatically initiated. So here's an example of, say, a doctor's office where they call you for appointment reminders. Well, each call is unique, where I'll be reminded of one-time appointment, somebody else is going to be reminded of another time that their appointment is. You may want them to be able to talk to somebody live about the appointment or change their appointment. Those types of things can all be customized through this. So it's a way that it's a custom application that ties into data that you provide, but it's using our platform's capabilities to complete and deliver the application. Other examples, you go across various industries, and information access is a big thing. Certainly people today are used to going to web pages and pulling up information, but frankly not everyone has access to a computer or a website. And so providing alternatives to that, historically IVR type applications did exactly this, and it was all over the phone access to a company's process and data and information. So you look at the various industries, and we have a number of applications out there. Within healthcare, it could be bill or claims status. Within education, it could be access to course information. Government, it could be, there's all, local, state, federal government is constantly being accessed by their constituents to gain access to information. So this is an ideal technology to do exactly that. Enterprise, this was originally known bank by phone within the banking industry, account balance inquiries, those types of things. Anything where you're trying to provide access to information that you hold within your company and you want to provide access to your external customers, prospects, vendors, whatever it may be, ideal technology to do exactly that. If you look at interoperability and it comes to unified communications, there's a lot of different components out there. Certainly on the telephony side, there's all sorts of vendors, and people are moving through generational changes of these systems, and how you interoperate changes depending on if it's a is it a 20-year-old Roam system, or is it a brand new ShoreTel system, or Microsoft Lync as a phone system. On the email side, again, email's been around for a long time, but we're seeing changes there as it moves from customer prem out to the cloud. Instant messaging, people are deploying instant messaging more and more, and how can you utilize the presence information that's housed by and controlled by that instant messaging server and use that for other purposes. Conferencing systems, calendar, mobile devices, presence, databases, all these different things that are deployed within companies, how do you bring them together? And one way is to depend on a integration specialist like AVST or an interop specialist to be able to bring these together, utilize the information in your communication infrastructure. We believe we've done a nice job of that with our CXE platform, which is our hallmark platform. As I mentioned, delivers 3 different primary application suites, the UC mobile set, the UC voice set, UC business process. You can decide what you want to deploy and when. And then underlying all that is the UC interoperability layer. So by themselves, those applications do very little. It's not until you actually integrate or interoperate with the other components that you have in your organization that they really start to take off. So as far as takeaway, we believe the thing that we hear over and over again from our customers is things they're worried about is certainly cost control and enhancing productivity. Anyone can say that. They want to avoid single vendor lock-in. So because there's so many components involved here and they change and people focus on, vendors focus on some and then change their focus, they really like the, I don't want to depend on just one vendor for everything because, you know, I want to have more in my stable of vendor pool to depend on. I want to deploy best of breed. So rather than utilize kind of mediocre solutions from somebody that's providing a broad base of applications, I'd rather take the best and brightest from different vendors and bring them together. We see a lot of people migrating from legacy solutions to new UC and VoIP, but it's not a rip and replace type thing. People want to do that at their own pace, so they're individual transactions that are taking place, and then the focus is on interop. We are seeing a lot of Lync getting deployed, and people starting to look at that as a voice solution, so helping people with that. Delivering a consistent interface across evolving environment. So things are changing, and so you need to make sure that what you deploy really is highly interoperable moving forward, standards-based, so you aren't being locked into proprietary type approaches. And then the ability to create your own applications. As vendors, we tend to focus on what, you know, the specifics that we deliver, but if you're going to invest in UC platforms, you really want something that's open that you can develop or have somebody develop custom functionality for you. So with that, I think I'll be quiet and turn it back over to Ann to open it up for the Q&A section. I really appreciate you spending time with us today, and hopefully we can answer some questions here for you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Yeah, so, and just real quickly before we move to the questions, for those of you who may have missed the first couple of minutes, I want to let you know that we will send you a link to download the slides just after we conclude the webinar. And in addition, we did record this, so once that recording is available, we will follow up via email as well so that you can go back and listen to it if you're interested. And then if you've got your webinar panel minimized, the orange arrow in the upper corner will reveal the question pane toward the bottom. We do have lots of questions coming in, and I'll let you know if we don't get to your question on the live session, please be assured that we will follow up with you offline with a sales or a sales engineer. We'll follow up and answer your question. So the first question, Tom, on email, if a customer is transitioning from Exchange to Gmail in the cloud, for example, would we support both of those systems during the transition time?
Yes, so we can support multiple email systems that off of the same platform. You do, depending on how you've deployed the solutions, you may get into a situation where, like with Outlook and Exchange, we have some custom Outlook forms that are available to you, and those require a specific message class. So not to get into too much detail here, but if somebody emailed a voice message from Google to Exchange, it may not pop up our form because it didn't have the message class, but they'd be able to see it, they'd be able to play the message, all that kind of thing. So when you get into a mixed environment, you have some reduced functionality, but if it's a transitional thing, then yes, absolutely, you're going to be able to transition from one to another and support both at the same time.
Okay, there's a question, thanks Tom, there's a question here about the iPhone app. Does it work on the iPad, or are we going to develop a solution for the iPad?
Yeah, so it does work on the iPad. The iPad itself natively isn't a phone. So some of the functionality, one of the things that the application does is if you've got an incoming call, you can have the app pop up on your device. So that could be on your iPad or your iPhone. And then if you want to take the call, it needs to be delivered to a phone. So on an iPad, if you had a soft phone running on that iPad, then you could deliver it to that, or maybe you take the pop-up on your iPad and deliver it to your home phone, or whatever it may be. That functionality works, but there's got to be a phone associated with the device to actually do everything that we do through that application.
Okay, and then actually a follow-on question to the first one, which was regarding the multiple email servers, the example of Exchange and also Gmail. Can we send the voice messages to both systems at the same time? So it sounds like if the user has an account on both.
You could. So that'll get into how the messages are being delivered. But you could set up, you could have multiple SMTP accounts where we send it to both places. There's probably multiple ways to accomplish that. But yes, a user could have it sent to 2 different places if they wanted to.
Okay. Next question. Is there a limit to the number of different telephony systems that AVST can integrate with, or different PBXs?
Yeah, so I assume that's off of, the question is based off of a single deployment. So if you have CXE deployed, we have a couple of limits. One is we have something called a call server, and that's what actually houses the telephony integration, and some of the applications are running off of that. For each call server, there's a limit of 3 different integrations. Now that doesn't mean that, say that you have 5 PBXs and they're all the same. To us, that's a single integration, just 5 different integration sections or switch sections. But if they're different, disparate PBX solutions, then we'd be limited to 3 per call server. And then we can have multiple call servers. So across all the call servers, you can have up to 10 different integrations. So 10 different branded PBX environments. You could have multiple of the same, and that wouldn't count across your 10. Hopefully that was understandable.
Okay. And I'd just like to thank everyone again for taking the time to join us this morning or this afternoon. And we'll look forward to seeing you on another webinar again very soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.